So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at this data, which shows the amount of petrol bought by customers from a local service station. It's quite a lot of numbers there. I need to calculate, first of all, the range of the data. And the reason we do that is it helps us decide what size our intervals will be. Then I select appropriate intervals to display the data, and then I construct a frequency table. Finally, we're going to have a histogram and frequency polygon showing the data. So let's get started. So I looked at the data and I can see that my largest number is 73 and my smallest is 26. So that means my range is 47. There's a distance of 47 from the smallest to the largest number. So I think what I'm going to go with is I'm going to go up by tens, because 47 is about 50. That will give me 5 groups. But also, because I'm starting in the middle of one group and finishing in the middle of another group, it'll actually give me 6 groups. So that's about right. So I'm going with 6 groups, and I'm going to go from 20 to 29, 30 to 39, 40 to 49, 50 to 59, and so on. So now we need to construct a frequency table. So there's my frequency table. I've got the data intervals ready, 20 to 29 and so on, and I'm ready to fill in my frequency. Now, another thing I want to point out there is I've put a column in the middle for midpoint, and in the question we were asked to construct a frequency polygon, and for a frequency polygon I need to know the midpoint of my intervals. So I'm going to talk about that just in a moment. So you can see I've counted up my frequency for each of those numbers, and I've checked my total. I did actually miscount a couple, so I double checked it, and I've got 28 there. Okay, so what we're doing now is we're looking at the histogram that we've just set up a table for, and I've drawn it up here on the board because I'm back in the classroom. So I want to point out a few key features of the histogram. The first is, notice that my x-axis does not start at 0. I leave a little gap in between the y-axis and the first category, and then what I've labelled on my x-axis is all the boundaries, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, and 80. Okay, I've labelled all the boundaries. On my vertical axis, this is frequency. Frequency of 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. I've labelled with frequency my y-axis, and I've labelled with petrol bought my x-axis, and there's still something missing from my histogram, and that is a title. Any title that describes what you've actually been asked to draw will do. So here I've written up amount of petrol bought. But notice also that I've got different heights. Oh, let's just... Sorry, you can probably hear the French lesson next door. So what I've got here, bring this a bit closer. What I've got here is the different heights. So this height of this one between 20 and 30 is 2. The height between 30 and 40 is 6, all corresponding to the table that we drew in the previous section. Now, the other thing we were asked to draw is a frequency polygon. A frequency polygon is simply a line that connects the midpoints, and I'm going to show you how to draw it. I'm going to take a different colour, and first I'm just going to draw all the midpoints. There's no ruler in this room, so I'll just have to do it by hand. I've simply drawn a line at the correct frequency in the midpoint of each column, and now I start down here and I draw a line connecting each, a straight line. Now, one of the reasons why you really need to leave a half interval gap here, this gap is about half of a normal interval, is because that then is the midpoint of the previous column. And similarly, I join it on my x-axis over here, a half an interval gap to the right. So there is a gap here between the 80 and this thing here. Okay, so that's the blue shaded part, that's the histogram. The red line, that's the frequency polygon.